everyone. Today I want to tell you a little bit more about how to effectively tell a story so that it's not like the kinds of stories that your aunts and uncles might tell at the dinner table where they're rambling on and on and on and you're not quite sure what the point is. So this little tutorial will help you kind of get to the point of your story and make sure whatever that message or the memorable moment that you want to come through for the audience is, whatever that is, it truly does come through and doesn't sound like you're kind of meandering about as you're telling your story. So, as you learned about in the book, there is the narrative arc. The narrative arc kind of starts a lot like how you read children's books, right? You are introduced to some of the main characters in the first few pages. You're told where the main characters live, or you're showed that in the pictures. It might give you more details about when the event happened, or what kinds of things they were wearing or doing. So all of this is just kind of setting the scene for your story. So that's the kind of flat part of the arc. Then you move into the rising action of your narrative arc. That's when we're starting to tell those details that build us in a linear, forward-moving way. So if, for example, you are going to tell us about a specific game of chess that you played in a chess tournament, we're probably going to need to know in those setting details that you're a part of a chess team, maybe how good you are or your chess team is, and anything else that we might need to know to understand why this game or this tournament itself was so important to you. So in the rising action, as you're talking about your chess tournament, you might tell us how you were feeling in that moment. What were you seeing out of the other player? Who else was watching? What were you doing? So you're giving us all of those details that help us come into that chess game with you. Then you might hit this climactic point in your story. So that's like the key, most emotional or most memorable part of your story, kind of like the point of your story. And that might be the moment where you get to say checkmate in your game. So we've hit our climax, but then we want to know, what happened? Did your opponent flip the table and get really mad at you? Or did they just look defeated? Or were you just so excited? Did your parents cheer for you? So tell us what happened in that immediate moment after you said checkmate. And then in your long-term resolution, you'll want to tell us something about, what you learned from that experience or how the rest of the tournament turned out for you. Just kind of let the audience feel like everything has come to close. Provide us with closure in both your short-term and your long-term resolution. So that's just a little bit more about the narrative arc. So I'll give you an example of a time that was incredibly embarrassing for me. So this won't be 2 to 3 minutes, it'll be a condensed version. But when I was in high school, I was on the varsity golf team as a freshman. So in my first year of ever playing golf ever, I made the team. And there were 4 other seniors on the varsity golf team. And I really wanted to impress them. They were so cool and beautiful, and I hadn't hit my growth spurt yet, and I was just nerdy and weird. So that's kind of me setting the scene and letting you know what was going on. So the rising action is that everyone from my hometown, not everyone, but a lot of people were going to an away football game. And I was going to the away football game. I didn't have any of my close friends that were going there, so I was feeling a little anxious about it. And I pulled up, and it was a small town. The football field was a lot smaller than we're used to. The stands, pretty much everyone was sitting in the same area, not as spread out as at our home field. And so I saw the girls from my varsity golf team, and to my surprise, they waved me up to come sit by them. So I was like, oh my gosh, I was so excited. I started going really fast up the stairs because it was awkward, people were looking at me, and so I was trying to get up there and sit down as fast as I could. The toe of my flip-flop hit the step, and I biffed it on the ground. I almost smoked my face. I caught myself at the last second. And then I had to pick myself up, brush off my bloody knees, and go up and sit by those girls with my head just in my hands. I was so mortified and embarrassed that those girls, along with all of their friends, saw me just bite it on the way up. So that would be my climactic point was falling. My resolution is that I, sat next to them with my head in my hands. Yeah. So you could see how that story would kind of fit the narrative arc though. So when you're telling your story, like I said, set the scene for us. Tell us who you were, when this happened, how long ago, where were you, that kind of stuff. Give us some of those details that make us invested in your story, that are moving us forward in a linear fashion. Hit that most emotional or most important point. It should be pretty clear to us when you're telling us the story. And then what happened. So good luck telling your stories. I look forward to hearing all of them.